Hey guys, Christina Ritchie. If you want more powers, but you really struggle with turning your hips into the shots, really loading up into the backswing and then turning your hips through the shots, let's take a look at your hip mobility first. So we're going to do some TPI assessments. You're going to need 2 shafts for this assessment, and we're going to determine if you have the mobility to actually do it. That's step number 1. Step number 2, I'm going to show you how the hips work, how you sit into your back hip and then sit into your lead hip. Sitting into your lead hip is not talked about too much, so it's a really important point. It really helps you to turn your body into the shot, but first you need the mobility. You ready? Let's get to it. One of the most important aspects in the golf swing is our pelvis, our hips, and how they move and support our golf swing. So what we're going to do is assess your mobility with your external and internal hip rotation. So you're going to lay shafts down at about a 45-degree angle. You're going to stand on your lead leg first, and you're going to put your hands on your hips, and you're just going to turn into your backswing. All right, ideally you want your hips to match the shaft on the ground. This is external hip rotation. Now switch, stand on your right leg for a right-handed player, your trail leg, and turn in to your backswing. This is internal hip rotation, and this is really important to help you sit into your backswing. Players that are tight here or are limited, say they can only move like this, you're gonna have a hard time sitting into your hip, so you're most likely gonna sway. All right, so if that is you, where you can barely turn this hip, you need to open up the front of your body, the hip flexors, the quads. All right, let's switch. Let's go to the lead side. So stand on your lead leg and turn and get your hip to match the shaft. All right, this is again external hip rotation. Switch. This is internal hip rotation. This is super important to allow you to turn into your hip. If you're tight here or you have very limited mobility, you're most likely going to hang back or not move your legs at all because you don't have the mobility to turn into it because you're tight here. So opening up the front of your body is really important. All right. So I've got the divot board here. I love practicing with this because you don't need a ball. So when you're working on your technique, you're really grooving a new move, let's take the ball out of the equation. But let's get feedback by finding out where your low point is to make sure that you're making a good strike. All right, so what we're gonna do is, again, we're gonna take our club, get into our girl posture and really sit into this hip. Move your pressure, sit into this hip. So you're actually taking this trail leg and you're turning it into this hip. All right, so that's why we really need the mobility in the hip flexors and in the inner groin here. It's important. All right, so then you're gonna I have a wedge here, just doing half swings. Really feeling the sit. All right, so you can even do a little pause here at the top. Sit, sit. All right, and just do little half swings like that, feeling the sit. Now, if you're tight, you're gonna feel a little twingy in there. So it's really important to open up that hip. All right, and then when you're comfortable doing a few swings and your low point's consistent, go ahead and grab a ball. All right, so my low point was great. I hit the ball, then divot. I felt like I sat into my hip joints on the back and the through. And when you're doing this, when you actually put a ball there, you're gonna really overcook the feels to the point of silly. So when you rehearse it, I'm coming a little closer here. Really move your pressure, a little pressure, and then sit. All right, so you should feel it in the upper part of your glute if you do it right. You should feel it up here if you do it right. Same deal on the downswing. If you do it right, move your pressure and then sit into it, you should feel the pressure up here in the upper glute. All right, that's your indication that you're doing it right and that you're loading up your glutes so they can really help you support your golf swing. All right, this is the same deal with all your clubs. All right, so you're gonna really exaggerate the feels. Get more pars.